Two huge weekend wins for Texas Tech basketball and football. We're getting to that and so much more today on Double T Insider. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Adam Doyle. In the post-game press conference after that Baylor victory, Vontae Dorsey, defensive back, said that was the closest bend but don't break defensive performance that they've had all year. And you look at these offensive numbers for Baylor, 523 total offensive yards, but of course Texas Tech defense only gave up 24 points. Adam, defensively, I mean, what did you just see from the Red Raiders on Saturday?
Well, it wasn't just the yards. I mean, Baylor ran 92 plays. They had the ball for 13 more minutes than we did, but they only scored on 4 of 7 red zone appearances. And you talked about it, the 4 turnovers were massive. That is bend but don't break. If you just lined up the stats and looked at them equally, you would have thought Baylor won this game. But the defense did what they had to do, especially in crunch time. We talk about Douglas Coleman off air and the turnover he had. That is a grown man, strip and take it back to the house. The defense and the special teams helped you win this one.
I think that one of the defining moments for that defense, though, was the goal line stand. I mean, that just completely shifted the momentum for Tech defense and continued to just reiterate how important that defensive performance was for them.
Yeah, like we said, I mean, if a team gets all the way into the red zone and they can't score, that's huge for momentum's sake. And like we said, only 4 of 7 possessions did Baylor score inside the red zone. Tech took care of business when they had to defensively, and they opened the game with a touchdown return that was for Kiki
92 yards.
Yes.
I mean, can you believe that?
That's big time. All 3 phases have to be together to win.
And not to mention, Nick Shimanek would go 10 of 10 to start off the game. We'll talk more Tech offense coming up in just a little bit. But Adam, let's talk some offensive play for men's basketball. Of course, their home opener, their season opener here, defeating South Alabama 75-50. We saw a lot from Zaire Smith. Again, he's continuing to be a force for this Red Raider team. Tommy Hamilton, another name that stands out to me.
Yeah, this was about newcomers for Red Raider basketball. We talked about it. Tommy Hamilton, 12 points, 4 rebounds for the Red Raiders. This is a guy that had to sit out all last season after transferring from DePaul. He looks like a veteran. He looks ready to play. Slimmed down big time and is going to be a force in the post. But the 2 freshmen, I think, are the biggest thing for Tech basketball. Zaire Smith, 14 points. I think he had 3 rebounds as well and 4 assists. And then you pair that with Davide Moretti, a kid comes in from Italy and a freshman. He looked a little green around the gills in the exhibition, but definitely didn't in their opener with 10 points and 2 assists. And then Keenan Evans. We're not even mentioning him, but the leader of this team with 12 points, and he did it quietly in 22 minutes. That's big time. This second group that comes in around the 16-minute mark, the first half for Tech basketball, has really created a spark early in the season.
Lady Raider basketball would also get their season opener here at home. They would fall to Texas State, but now they turn their attention to hosting Arkansas Pine Bluff Sunday, that one at 2 o'clock. Well, still to come on Double T Insider, we take you to the sideline of that Saturday victory over Baylor for Tech football. Sights and Sounds is next.
Double T Insider is brought to you in part by Plains Capital Bank. Bank with confidence. The Red Raider Club. Your support, their effort, our fearless champions. Texas Farm Bureau. Register today for your chance to deliver the game ball and receive a VIP experience at a Texas Tech home football game. Contest details available at texastech.com.
We haven't had many returns this year. That we played a bunch of guys who can kick it out of the end zone, and we knew going in the game we'd have a shot. They hadn't had a ton of touchbacks coming in, and it was blocked well, and he hit it. And anytime the ball's in his hands, something special can happen. So I was excited to see him make that play.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. For those of you who remember that performance that Kiki Kuti had last year in AT&T Stadium against Baylor, it was an absolutely outstanding performance, maybe one of the best of his career. And Adam, it looks like maybe he's going to try to make that somewhat of a trend. He comes out just hot right off the bat and has a huge play that really sets Texas Tech up.
Right, he wins Special Teams Player of the Week for the Big 12, and then he's a semifinalist for the Biletnikoff Award, which goes to the best wide receiver in the country. We knew he was one of the best in the country, but it was what he did to set the tone early in this game, as you talked about. And then his numbers don't jump off the page to you, but what he did for everybody else, as far as Cantrell having 11 receptions for 94 yards, Vasher 42 yards and a touchdown, and then that opened up the running game clearly as Trey King continues to build momentum. It's more of what he's doing to open up this offense rather than just the numbers we saw on Saturday.
That was a much-needed victory for Texas Tech. It gets the momentum moving in the right direction now as they turn to face a top-ranked team in TCU. Here's a look at Saturday's victory over Baylor from the sideline with Sights and Sounds.
There she is, AT&T Stadium on a pleasant fall day in Arlington, Texas Tech and Baylor. The Red Raiders and the Bears.
Who's going to lay the wood first? Who's going to lay the wood first? Let's go!
Kiki QT in a seam straight up the middle. He fielded that ball inside his 10, and he may have a chance to open the scoring with the kickoff return for a touchdown. Just over 90 yards for Kiki QT.
Quick, they can't stop. All right, good job.
And it is King, and he's in. Touchdown, Texas Tech.
Go, Trey. Go, Trey. Let's go. I told you I got you. You here to eat. I told you I got you here to eat. Let's go. One touchdown.
Brewer, after the fake, just lost the ball. It comes out, and Dakota Allen is on it. First turnover of the day, the 19th forced by Texas Tech this year. It's 3rd and goal, a rollout and a bullet pass into the near corner of the end zone and caught for a touchdown by Vasher. TJ Vasher extends the lead for Texas Tech. 4th and goal of the 1. Jermichael Hasteen, he's hit short of the goal line and pushed back. Broderick Washington did it that time. What a goal line stand for David Gibbs, Texas Tech defense.
Here comes the quarterback. Nice job squeezing that space and just playing the quarterback. Get there. If he hands it off, just chase it down inside out. Get there.
They're going for the end zone, and they throw up a jump ball. Brewer throws it up, and 2 defenders were back for Texas Tech. Vontae Dorsey's the one with the interception for the Red Raiders.
The same thing that happened in the first quarter.
Texas Tech.
And they have recovered it. And it's Big Mike Thomas. A turnover for the 2nd straight week for Thomas. The receiver's open and spins and is in. Touchdown, Cameron Batson.
I see you skating out on people.
Baylor needs 2 touchdowns. They have 5.5 minutes and 3 timeouts to make it happen. But the ball is lost by Tony Nicholson, and it's picked up by Douglas Coleman and run into the end zone.
Hey, let's go.
It was a big day for junior college transfers. 3 of those 4 turnovers were forced by junior college transfers. And Trey King on the offensive side of the ball, big day for him. 73 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. We saw that celebration with Coach Jaluk, his running backs coach. I like this kid.
Yeah, and clearly they do too. 20 rushes for him. That shows that they trust him, and he runs angry, finishes rushes. He's behind his pads. And I know those are cliches, but it's true. Looks a little bit like DeAndre Washington, which I know it's a little soon, but we have him for another year after this year too. It's something to be excited about.
Certainly will be exciting to watch him for the rest of the year. Well, still to come on Double T Insider, how a summer internship could put this Lady Raider on the national stage. Her story is next.
I got to meet some of the best girls, and I got to meet some of the best players in the world, and I had the chance to actually be in touching distance of these people that I watched all the time play. And it was just amazing to see that, goodness, like, I look up to you guys, and I know that whenever they were younger, they looked up to people as well. Everything that happens behind the scenes is so much more that goes into it. So I was just seeing all the hard work that went into that and everything that everyone has to do whenever they're doing that stuff. And it seemed a little bit overwhelming, but just to watch how poised Tamika was throughout the entire thing, with it being her first time actually broadcasting a couple games, it showed me that I was like, oh my gosh, like it's possible to do it. I owe Tamika everything because she's an icon. She's a legend when it comes to women's basketball, when it comes to sports in general. Just being around her, you just see how humble she is as a person, and with everything that she's accomplished in her life, just the type of person that she is definitely someone that I look up to. And I'm glad that I was able to have the opportunity to job shadow underneath her because she's just an amazing, incredible human being. I was able to learn the things that I want to be able to get into after college or after, I'm done playing and when I want to tie the shoes up. So I would say from my perspective of being a journalism major and wanting to go into broadcasting, I learned a lot as a student, and I'm excited to see where my future takes me.
What an amazing opportunity for Zuri, not only to be able to interact with Tamika, but to be able to interact with some of those WNBA players is amazing.
Yeah, to have a plan after sports is really key for all of these players because, again, the ball stops bouncing. You step off of that field at some point, and to know what she wants to do and to find a person that she has a passion for and to be able to do that was really neat to see. And
she's deeply rooted in that WNBA community too. All of these Lady Raider players are, and Angel Hayden is a player. She's a freshman on this Lady Raider team, and she's deeply invested and rooted in her community back home. She's from Canyon, just an hour and a half from Lubbock. We continue our 2018 Newcomer Series with Angel.
When I was really, really young, I would come to like watch the Tech girls, and I was like, wow, I do want to be a Lady Raider. Like, that would be so cool to be down there and have people watching me. Like, I always looked up to them. And it's not very far from home. It's just like an hour and a half from where I live, and I have my brother here, so it's like I have someone here to help me or watch over me. I have this little friend, her name's Tatum, and she has cancer, so I really want to be close to her and give her a chance to watch me for as long as she can be here still. Her and her family are super close with me, so I always write TLT on my wrist or try to remember right before practices or games to remember to be like her, and TLT stands for Tough Like Tatum. On my worst days or when I'm having a bad game, it happens. You're not always going to have a good game, and Tatum makes you realize that there's worse things in life besides having a bad game, but you just have to stay positive and be happy and just pray about it.
Tatum is a young lady who will continue to be a source of motivation, not only for Angel, but for anybody who knew her. Well, still to come on Double T Insider, we've got head coach Chris Beard joining us on set. We'll be right back.
Time to meet a newcomer to this Texas Tech basketball program. This is Zaire Smith, number 2, a freshman from Garland, Texas. Z, you were a big-time recruit coming out of high school, man. Out of Garland, a place that Todrick Gocher played at nonetheless. But you had a chance to go to Texas. You had a lot of other offers, but you came to Tech. Why Tech?
I like Tech because of the motion offense. That's similar with my high school, and I just want to rebuild the program.
Tell me about your first memory of basketball. Everybody's probably got one, but tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the beginning for you.
I'm thankful for my dad to introducing it to me. I was a big football player, and he said just try it out, and I did, and all I was doing blocking shots, traveling, and rebounding.
What do you feel like is the best part of your game, and what do you want to get better at while you're here?
The best part of my game is always playing hard, hustling, rebounding. I want to get better at being vocal, talking more, probably being a leader.
Tell me something outside of basketball that we should know about you, something personally, something people may not know.
People may not know that I really never liked the basketball till the 7th grade. I was big on football. I wanted to go to college to play football.
Well, you got an old school music taste. Tell me what you're listening to before you head out onto the floor.
Either Tupac, Biggie, Too Short.
Too Short?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, lastly, the DFW area coaches voted you the best high school dunker of 2017. Okay. So we got to see one. I mean, you got a ball. You got something for us?
All right.
I'll get out of the way, man. Show us what it's all about. That was way too easy.
Too easy.
I'm going to get out of the way if you're coming through the lane. See? Welcome to Texas Tech basketball. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. We are joined on set by head coach Chris Beard, Red Raider basketball coach. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, there's so many things that we can talk about with this team. I mean, obviously a number of returners that we're so excited about, but I think when you look at this group, the newcomers have just been so impressive so far. I mean, what excites you most about this group, and is there maybe one that you would tell the fans is kind of a player to watch?
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things about this year's roster. Probably at the top of that list is just the balance between returning players, which means experience and maturity and a different level of toughness, and then our new guys are just kind of young and talented and kind of bring a healthy ignorance to the situation. So I like this team. It's a unique roster.
Last year, a lot of games. Coach came down the last 2 minutes. It seems like in conference it always happens that way in the Big 12. A lot of new faces she talked about, a lot of veterans on this team. How do you kind of change the outcome for a lot of those games? It just come down to the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that in our program since last spring through the summer and now in the fall and early season. Just the idea of finishing the game. The objective isn't winning every game. That's the dream. But the objective is to try to finish every game the right way, play the game the right way. So our guys have really bought into this. It's something that we've spent a lot of time on, and I look for us to have better results this year in close games.
You talk about putting so much time into that. How do you cultivate that atmosphere just in practice and, you know, in the film room and just with everything that you guys are doing in your program?
Well, we have a lot of core values in our program. At the top of that list is just the truth-telling culture. We don't spend a lot of time, playing mind games and stuff. It is what it is. So we've embraced the fact that last year's team was on the wrong end of a lot of close games. And so we study that as a team, we practice it on the floor, and ultimately we're looking forward to those opportunities again.
There's always a lot of unknowns about a schedule, especially in non-conference. What do you like about your schedule? You get to go to New York with this team, obviously up to Connecticut as well, South Carolina in the non-conference. What do you like about your non-conference as a whole?
Well, I like it on paper that we got tougher. I don't know if I'm going to like it when I'm living it in reality, but certainly we've upgraded our schedule a lot. It was by design. We've got 2 destination trips, New York City and Connecticut. They're going to be great trips for our team. They're going to challenge us with BCS opponents. We've got home games this year that are going to be a lot of quality opponents. Hate to mention schools off the top of my head, but Nevada is an NCAA tournament team. Wofford's one of the best coach teams in the country. Rice, we got a lot of teams on the schedule that are going to be worthy.
And Coach, finally, you've talked a lot about just the development and the growth of this team and of these players. But when you look at this coaching staff, you're obviously entering your 2nd season. What type of development and growth have you seen in those guys, and obviously just what you are trying to do in this program?
Yeah, great question. I mean, just like we challenge our players to improve every day, as coaches, it's not different. We have to improve. The thing I'm most proud of is the continuity in our coaching staff. Every coach is back for year 2, which I think speaks volumes not only about our program, but also Lubbock, Texas, Texas Tech University. These guys and their families want to be here. So I think that's going to pay dividends on the scoreboard, that we're a cohesive group year 2.
I don't like to single guys out, as I know you don't, Coach, but at the same time, Zaire Smith, a guy that, at least in the exhibition games, has looked pretty special, and Jarrett Culver, a kid from just down the road. The freshmen especially, how much have you seen in them just developing in the short time that they've been here?
Yeah, they've improved so much since the summer to the current day, now in the season. All 4 scholarship freshmen with Morrow and Malik and Culver and Z are going to be really talented players, not only this year but down the line. I put Avery, Parker, and Alex in that same category as well.
Coach, thanks so much for coming and spending some time with us today on set. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
Double T Insider was brought to you in part by Plains Capital Bank. Bank with confidence. The Red Raider Club. Your support, their effort, our fearless champions. Texas Farm Bureau. Register today for your chance to deliver the game ball and receive a VIP experience at a Texas Tech home football game. Contest details available at texastech.com.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Texas Tech football turns their attention to hosting top-ranked TCU this weekend. Saturday at Jones AT&T Stadium, kickoff is at 11.
Meanwhile, in Connecticut, Texas Tech basketball will continue the Naismith tip-off tournament with the semifinals. 11 a.m. Saturday, they will face Boston College. With a win on Sunday, they could play LaSalle or Northwestern. And back here at the United Supermarkets Arena this Sunday, 2 p.m. tip. As the Lady Raiders look to bounce back, they'll host Arkansas Pine Bluff.
And finally, Texas Tech volleyball hosts Kansas 6 o'clock on Friday for their senior day. For any information that you need for Texas Tech athletics and to take a look at what's happening on campus this week, just head on over to texastech.com. For Adam Doyle, I'm Taylor Peters, and this is Double T Insider.